Hey guys, I wanna apologize for being so inactive these last couple months. October in particular has been quite a turbulent month for me. First, we had that whole boosters controversy on the marketplace, which sucked. This video is gonna be mostly about that, by the way, because I've been needing to talk about that for a while, but then my microphone died and it was already an improvised one anyway, just part of my earphones, but now I'm having to improvise it even more. So sorry if every time there's a video of me talking, my voice quality is completely different, by the way. This whole purchasable boosters thing had a big negative impact on me for two reasons. The first reason is the obvious one. They broke their promise to us about never monetizing anything that is not cosmetic in this game. It's not really a matter of the XP and fragment boosters being super expensive or super necessary for gameplay, because they're not. It's about them lying to us about one of the biggest promises they made for this game. I've always tried to give them a break about the delays and the stuff taking way longer to launch than it should, because developing a game in the middle of a pandemic in which the developers can't even access the studio should be very rough. But obviously, this is different. It was a voluntary decision, something they had control over. Or should I say that Square Enix had control over? That's something many people have brought up, and I think it's very important to mention. The developers, the people who actually design the game, are very rarely the same people who make these kind of decisions. Things like what is and isn't gonna be monetized are usually decided by the publisher, which in this case is Square Enix. Honestly, I don't know enough about game development and this game in particular to be comfortable pointing fingers at anyone, especially because pointing fingers usually leads to personal attacks and harassment, and we do not need more of that with this game. But I will say this: the lack of communication is bringing this game down a lot. Not just communication between the players and developers, which is one of the most important ones for sure, but also between the developers and the community managers, and the publishers and everyone else. For example, when there's a new patch, the patch notes almost never seem to cover everything that is changed with it. One of the most recent patches nerfed the Tachyon Surge perk, and that angered a lot of players. Not just because of the nerf itself, and not just because Tachyon Surge is one of the most important perks for many players, but because this change wasn't mentioned in the patch notes at all. It was a stealth nerf, which is something that everybody hates and considers very scummy. But we've also had another patch last week that changed Mjolnir from the endgame Thor outfit to the MCU model, which is something the community had been asking for quite some time. And this change also wasn't mentioned in the patch notes at all, which is weird because those patch notes mentioned a glitch that was fixed with this very same outfit, which, is also important, but not as relevant as a whole new model of a weapon for the game. It seems there's always a lot of information lost between the people who actually make the changes, the developers, and the people who share them in the weekly blogs, who I assume are the community managers. You can also see this with their announcements, with release dates in particular often being communicated in the last possible minute. For example, right now we're in the middle of a Cosmic Thread Halloween event that was announced one day before it began. And if I remember correctly, the release date for the original Cosmic Thread event was announced under a week before it as well, as were other events for the game. Black Panther's gameplay deep dive was released one day before War for Wakanda. Compare this with Clint's deep dive, which was announced back in February, 1 month before Future Imperfect. And don't be surprised if the release dates for the Raid and Spider-Man only get announced a week or less before they are released. These feel like communication issues as well. And obviously, the biggest one is how the people in charge of monetization and every other major decision of this game are out of touch with the player base. Because whomever thought that the backlash from monetizing the boosters wouldn't be bigger than the money they would make from it clearly doesn't understand their player base. The second reason is because all of this happened a day before my birthday. If you know me from Reddit, you might have seen me talking about this there. I rarely celebrate my birthdays anymore, making parties and everything. But since this year I turned 25, I decided I would do something to celebrate with the Avengers community. Because now I am officially ugly, a guy, and 25. Which is awesome. I think. I hope. Just let me have this, okay? I was ready to celebrate my birthday with this account by sharing a bunch of cool Avengers stuff on Friday, October the 8th, which would be my birthday. But then on Thursday the 7th, the paid booster showed up on the marketplace and I went down this emotional rabbit hole. Now, I don't want to annoy you guys with too much information about my personal life, but if you're a fan of this channel and you look forward to the content I'm gonna put up for some reason, there's one thing I think it's important for you to know. Well, two things actually. The first thing is that you're awesome and I am thankful for your support. The second thing is that I do this more as a hobby and I'm a very emotionally oriented person. What I mean by this is that I often struggle with sharing stuff and talking and finishing projects I began. When I do finish a project, it's usually because I'm really into it, or because it's something I really felt like I had to talk about, like this whole boosters controversy. And even then, I think about 20 times before clicking the publish button. Despite all of its problems, I am into this game, believe it or not. Every video I made on this channel so far, be it the one with ideas for new bosses in the game, or the ones about builds, or the ones about perks, or even that silly one about the enemies who were bad at their jobs, I made because I actually enjoyed making them. I felt like making them. However, that also means that when something hits me emotionally like this, it makes my creative struggle even worse. And I don't think I'm alone in this. I've seen at least a couple of very passionate content creators pretty much giving up because this whole controversy crushed whatever little they had left of their hope in this game. One of them talked about how hard it is for him to find that spark to keep having and sharing cool ideas for this game when the actual studio seems more interested on nerfing XP and then selling it back to us than on implementing them. And yeah, for the record, he is 200% right. I used to think I was in the exact same boat as him, but honestly, I'm not so sure anymore. Which leads me to probably the most important topic of this video, which is the future of the channel. My faith on Crystal Dynamics or Square Enix actually listening to my ideas and implementing them in the game in some way is somehow even lower than before, if not zero. But after thinking for quite a while, I decided that I still like to make these videos and I do not intend to stop. I found out that I have way more fun expressing my ideas than expecting someone to implement them. But I also don't want the channel's persistence to be seen as a middle finger to everyone else who is also pissed off about the paid booster situation, or as a sign that I support this decision, because I don't. Nor am I against anyone who stopped supporting the game because of it. Anyway, that's pretty much the update. The channel will go on for my entertainment and hopefully for yours as well. Not out of blind hope that someone's gonna listen to my ideas, and certainly not for whomever is going too far with microtransactions in this game. Once again, sorry for the long silence without any reassurance that the channel would go on. I know that as Avengers fans we're all kinda used to this, but still, it was not cool of my part, so sorry. I am working on a bunch of new videos, but I'm not gonna make any promises until I'm sure I'm able to deliver them. I even want to make more videos about ideas for new boss fights in 3D, like the Wrecking Crew video from a while ago, and I'm actually pretty far in the next one of them, but that requires a new version of the program I'm using, the 3D one, which has been a pain for me to install these last few months, so I couldn't promise anything, and unfortunately, I still can't. But I do have a new build video almost ready. I got all the footage captured, all that is left is editing, and unless something crazy happens, it should come out this week. All I can say about it is that it's a Kate build, and even if you're not a Kate player, you'll probably find it very interesting. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to make a silly Halloween video for today. I thought I would have a lot of time to make it today, but as usual, a bunch of stuff showed up out of nowhere and I'm not so sure anymore. But I'll try. And finally, I also intend to make more analysis videos of the game, like the one I made about the parry-related perks. And these will probably be more critical, so let me know what you think about that. Again, I did say that I make most videos based on ideas I have, but I'm also open to ideas and suggestions, so don't be shy to share them if you have any. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day, everyone.